Well, as you guys know, my name is Coach Becky, and I am so happy to be here with you guys. I really love trading on all things, but like you guys know, I found my most success when I really started putting the attention on my psychology, and then that bridged the gap of what I was missing with my technicals and my growth as a trader and pushing through my own boundaries. It really just opened the doors to everything that I needed to, I guess you could say, get it together, sort of, to find my weak points in the way I was thinking about everything and the way I was managing my trades and the way that I was progressing, and to really start to lock in and improve. So today's subject just kind of came out of recent conversations, and I was like, this would be a great topic for a psychology lab, because it's all about money mindset. And I think that not everyone has thought about this, but it's such a critical conversation when you learn trading and you decide that you're going to stick with it and become a profitable day trader or any kind of trader, because it's such a different world than a job, right? Going to work for someone else, having to follow their rules, show up when they show up, worry about getting in trouble for breaking rules, potentially losing your job. What would that mean for your family? You have to work so many hours, be away from your house, your home, potentially your children, pay for childcare. So in order to pay your bills, it really is kind of a rat race that most humans live in. And that is a perpetuation of a lot of times how we were raised and society and the norms. And trading has the potential to really be kind of a different ballgame. And I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about, because we are our own bosses. We have the power to kind of make it or break it in this world. And then there really isn't a ceiling on trading. As you grow, you can trade with more leverage, expand, you trade in different ways, do long-term strategies, short-term strategies. I mean, it's just overwhelming, the potential that trading has. And that is not necessarily the case when you settle into a career or a job. So that's why kind of the back behind why this subject is really powerful, and those limiting beliefs. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with us for having those. It just means that we're human in this world, and that oftentimes that comes from a very early age, that we kind of believe something and think that that is as it needs to be for all time. But I think that we could talk about it today and look at it from a little different perspectives and think about how we can maybe shift in order to expect more wealth from the effort we're putting in. So that's where I want to go with this today. So as we kind of alluded to already, I mean, where did your money story begin? It certainly wasn't in adulthood. I think that it was more so where you were raised, who you were around when you were growing up. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? The whole start of that story is the separation between the experiences he had of two men as a child growing up. If you haven't read that book, it's great. And there's a lot of wisdom to be gained from Robert Kiyosaki and that story. But that's basically our situation, right? I know, he's a boss. It's such a good introduction, that whole conversation that he created and has worked so well to share with the world, because I think that your brain is developed from infancy. Some would say from pre-infancy. So there's invisible baggage, right? Those are beliefs about money that are formed long before we ever decided to even consider trading. And it's going to be slightly different for everyone, different experiences, different exposures, different home lives. Some were raised with abundance versus scarcity, a fear-based model where you have to pinch every trade and catch every overtime shift and do everything you can to secure your next week's worth of bills being paid. And that is a fear-based approach to money, and that money is absolutely not a tool, but that you have to trade your time in order to function in this world and provide for you or your family. Versus an abundance where you get to be a little bit more particular about your opportunities, and you believe that you'll be okay because you're putting forth the energy and money will flow because you are doing things that will get you paid. Coach BluSky, my parents made me buy everything I wanted from a young age. So car washes, Pokemon cards, things like that. Everyone went to school with, got whatever they wanted. So money is my motivation. Okay, so you had to work for it. I think that there's so many different perspectives that we have come from in order to become adults. And then that really plays into, our trades now. And I don't know however many of you guys pay your bills with trading income yet, but if you're not there yet, lock in, because it's going to unlock a whole nother level of this conversation. Because I think starting to learn to trade is you recognize that you're paying oftentimes for accounts, for fees, for commissions, for education. And so it's an expense in the beginning. Your losses are an expense. But then once you learn to trade, you start making a little bit of money. That's exciting. And sometimes it becomes extra money And then, so that's a phase of like what this means, what you can do with it. You want to keep making it once you start making it. But once you switch over to paying bills with trading money, whole nother level will come at you, because that really, what happens on your trading accounts is solely based on your actions on the charts. And so that is a different kind of weight, albeit, very abundant and has such a potential of making so much money. But there's a lot of levels to this that we're going to have to push through. And so that's another reason why I wanted to like blow this conversation open today, so that we can think about where we came from, what we learned when we were young, cultural messages about wealth. I think there's a lot of cultural differences from people who came from all different types of homes and walks of life as well. And so just recognizing that these experiences will have shaped your financial psychology, which means how you think about money and what it means for you, how you need to deal with it. If there is trauma related to that, or fear that you don't get to have things you want unless you hustle always, so things are not going to flow to you easily. You have to work really hard and no one's going to have your back, or somebody always is going to give you something, so you don't have to take personal responsibility for it. There's all kinds of ways that are slightly askew from what really is ideal. And I would have to argue that most people probably didn't have a super ideal approach to money, just because that's not very common. And so that doesn't mean that any of us, necessarily had a poor childhood or an unfortunate childhood, but that our parents maybe just didn't have this conversation given to them or opened up, or wasn't a part of their choices in life. So you weren't exposed to this conversation and how it could be made more ideal potentially. But I think thinking about and understanding where our money mindset originated from is the first step to changing it, because we can think about, not necessarily to our parents' detriment, but just the fact that maybe we were raised a certain way, and maybe that's not the way we want to push into our next phases of life. And so at this point, once you're an adult, you get to take the reins on that. You get to think about how you might want to rewire some of these earlier programming per se, and then take action in terms of shifting that. And so this can be an opportunity for growth, just the same as learning a new style on the charts, a new indicator, a new, compounding account method, or what have you. Adjusting your money management and your money mindset is just another phase that we can do as traders to find new levels of success, to find new ways to have a more rounded approach to being a trader. These are some points about the default money mindsets that we might all have. So you might find that you identify with one or more of these in any sort of variety. But I think most of us will have, at least before we've started this work. Coach Matt alluded to in our Power Hour just a few minutes ago that he has really thought about this conversation and thinks it's very powerful as well. And so he has considered this and has shown up for this type of conversation before today. I think we'll all have a different point at which we're at in this conversation. But I think that there will be gems today to help us all feel a little bit more steady with it. And so recognizing that we all might have, to some degree, a negative lens on money coming into the world of trading, and that actually could be costing you opportunities and potential, and could be holding you back. And so if we know something in our brains and our psychology is potentially holding us back from the greatest success as traders, let's open it up. Let's talk about it. So this is how this could play into our trading. Fear-based thinking. So that is an approach to, I might lose it all. That type of thought will dominate your decision-making, causing you to exit winners early and hold losers too long. If I get stopped out, then I'm in a losing trend and I can't handle that. So I need to not take the stop out. Then it gets too big and your account either blows or what have you. That's a situation of fear-based thinking that you can't hold a reasonable stop, when logically you know that a stop out is a part of your system and it might just happen. I might lose it all. So, you exit your winners too early. For me, that was something that I definitely have worked through on my trading, is that I might lose it all. Once you start getting into the profits, that's that paper hands versus diamond hands, faith in the trade setup and belief that your trade plan will play to fruition because you have done the work and you've seen it happen time over time. And there's a positive expectancy to a certain trade plan, versus I got in, it was dancing around, I could have lost. Now I'm a little bit green. If I just lock it in, it's enough for today. There are different ways to play it, and there's room to grow for sure. I mean, just taking a winning trade, not going to lie, your first year of trading, that's a win. But once you start being able to take winning trades, there is a point to cutting winners too soon is something that has some fear within that you could work on. Now that is similar to scarcity mentality, which is there's never enough, desperate trading behaviors, and preventing proper risk management. So it's kind of another level of that of, I'm not going to be okay. There's never going to be a good trade. What if my A+ setup doesn't happen? I'm just going to shoot at this because I'm here right now. It's it's a fear-based, but it's also just that things are not going to be okay. And I have to just do what I can. I don't even care if it's within my system. It's more of a desperation to make green versus a confidence and a strategy that you really believe in from the work that you have done. Coming away from a little bit of that strategy type outcome, execution outcomes, is the moral implications that we might think about in terms of money, which is wanting money is greedy. And that can sabotage your ability to pursue larger gains without guilt. And so that is basically, rich people are all a-holes. They got money from their daddy and they didn't even have to work from it. I work hard, I am blue collar, and I show up and I do a good job and I get paid as a good employee. And I'm not some rich butthead or whatever. So I think that thinking that money, having wealth, is a bad personality factor for people because the rich rule the world and maybe the world is not as ideal as we would like it to be. So I think thinking about that all rich people are bad is really not helpful. And I think something that helps me with this particular factor with wealth management is that if you look at the global world, there is a ton of things that are donated by libraries, schools, educational things, programs for children, volunteer centers, helping the poor and vulnerable. There is billions of money put into that every year from wealthy people. And so I think, sure, there are some very rich a-holes in this world, not going to lie. But I do think there's some very rich, kind people who pay forward a lot of that. And sure, there is some, tax write-offs from donating to good programs, but also that's a choice to donate to strong programs and having that tax write-off. And so I think for me, that helps me think about there's a lot of blessings in my community alone that were donated to my community from those that had abundance. And so that, you can kind of squash that one a little bit. Definitely get looked at negative because I prioritized finance by family and people in my life. Yeah, that's the same thing. When you think about you need to have money and provide for your family, does that make you a jerk for only thinking about money? It makes you think about the big picture and like what it can do. I think thinking about money is important. And the world of trading is the world of money, give and take and up and down. And so in order to be a successful trader, I think we have to have eyes wide open about the money and what we're doing and how we're doing it and what potential it could have for us. Yeah, Agor, it's a lot of it is based in our approach to money, and a lot of it is subconscious. Like a lot of this really did come from childhood and early exposures to different ways of managing adulthood from those that we were around. And it certainly is the case for me. And so I think one other part of this that we could have as a baseline is someone else's gain is my loss. To limits collaborative growth and opportunity recognition. Like if you think you have a winning strategy, you don't want to tell people because they'll find out and you want to be the winner. And, you don't want other people to start doing the same thing and it won't work anymore. I think there's billions of people trading these markets every day. And I think a good way of kind of pushing past this is trying to shift to the abundance mindset of there is enough for everyone and we all can support each other and want everyone else to win. And sometimes putting out that abundance energy will bring more to you. But this is a concern that some people have of someone else's gain is my loss. And I want to keep my winning strategy to myself and keep it quiet. But I don't know that is generally a benefit to a money mindset. Something that if that is in the back of your mind ever, maybe think about how is that serving, your whole approach to abundance in terms of money. You guys have some of these? Because I definitely know the top two were a thing for me. Yeah, abundance is amazing. It's like my favorite. When I need to have a little pick me up or I've had a red day or I'm worried about something, thinking about shifting that to thinking about what is going well, what I am learning, killing it RQ. It really helps. It just stabilizes the mood and believe in the momentum forward that you're putting behind you. And look at that. RQ is all about the abundance and then his profits were soaring today. So I really love that. Okay, so let's start shifting things. So what about money as a tool and not the goal? Has anyone ever thought about this subject? So this is kind of a rare mindset that generates real wealth when you treat money differently. And so instead of thinking that I need to go to work 40 hours a week in order to get this paycheck because I have to pay my bills on Friday. So the goal is to get my hours in and get my paycheck. But instead, you kind of think about what you could do with money in order to grow your life. So instead of an end goal wrapped in emotion, if you can be a little bit more using money as a neutral tool, a means of creating the freedom and your financial freedom options, impact in the world, once you start really getting up there, it will bring more success to you because you recognize that it's something that you have to use in order to make more money. And especially as traders, this is a really big one, you guys, because the shift is subtle, but it actually has a massive impact in how you approach your trades, how you manage them, how you allow your gains to compound. When you can shift to have money as a tool, you can really lean into your strategies and take out some of the emotion around what you're doing in your accounts and worrying about payouts, because you recognize that you have to risk in order to reward. And that's literally the game of trading, is that we have to risk in order to get some rewards from it. And so money really is a tool. And if we can just prioritize how we scale the trades, what size we need to trade, and what method we need to trade to get the outcomes we want, then you are protecting your account, but you are deploying your capital, your opportunity in money in order to bring more money to you. And so it also helps you take losses if you need to. Take a stop hit, obviously, will happen to all of us, but it doesn't mean that you have to take a hit to your identity, your confidence, your self-worth. You also can take a big win without feeling guilty or embarrassed and not want to tell anyone that you had a big win potentially, because what if they feel bad or what have you? Instead, you can have kind of a more neutral confidence. And on the losing days, just that was the variance of my strategy. The probabilities will say that I'm not going to win every day. So this is the day that we're having. See what happens tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow will be a slightly different market and I will approach it differently and have a killer day. And so I think switching to this green box here, where the wealth builder's view, where it's a little bit more ideal, is that money really is a resource to be managed, and it can be a multiplier of opportunities, reflection of value created, and renewable through skill and strategy. All of those are highly appropriate and applicable to trading, because you have to have funds in order to be a trader. Now, if that's personal funds or if that's accounts working with a prop firm such as BluSky, thank you for being here. Let these accounts, let the leverage be a resource in order to create more wealth and to grow your opportunities, expand your accounts, compound your gains. And so recognizing that it's not something that you only have these accounts because you need to withdraw $1,000 by next week because something is happening, but instead recognizing you're going to be your best trader. And as such, your accounts will grow. It will all start to compound. More opportunities will come. So as I just use money and execute my best strategy, more opportunities come from that, which is the case with trading. You get to start trading slightly bigger size and hold things a little longer. Your account parameters change as you build them and advance to deeper levels. Once you start having confidence as a trader and meeting your goals as a prop trader, you can start transforming that into trading your personal account and trading more long-term, having extra money to be an investor, and then working some other options around that. So when you get deeper into trading, the money that you start to earn from maybe a start as a futures trader, trading micros with one prop account, the way that your strategy can build and the money and the opportunities can compound, it can really be a multiplier of opportunities, because there is exponential growth potential in trading with the way you can shift your money, move it to different techniques, learn from different mentors, and use more advanced strategies as you have slightly larger accounts. So I just love this whole concept of money as a tool. And that is how you can, push yourself to advancing your strategies. Now I'm going to drop 2 resources in these next 2 slides for you guys that were really interesting and valuable for me, both of which I consumed in the last few years. The first one was The Psychology of Money book by Morgan Housel. This book has been kicked around in a lot of the different trading world as a book that you should read. Now, it's not so much about futures trading or a technical analysis, but more so about the money mindset. One quote from it is, "Doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave." And so that is, sometimes the most intelligent people in the world will be, have scarcity mindset or, not recognize all the ways that they can manage their money differently. But if you really dig into the strategy around money management, there's so much potential that you can do. And especially if you can lock into your psychology needs and remain steady, also super powerful. So part of that book, kind of the core of it, is Housel's research reveals that financial success is not about IQ or advanced strategies. More so, it's about the psychology, right? About controlling your behavior, creating an understanding of what you can do with money, and then sticking to it. So with traders who consistently win aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who master their psychological responses to the wins, the losses, and the uncertainty. And I mean, you're all still listening. The chat's a little sleepy, but that's because I'm talking nonstop. But does that make sense, right? The traders who win the most are the ones who master their psychological responses to wins, losses, and uncertainty, right? Thanks. Yeah, I think that was really a powerful idea around all of this, because in order to allow it to compound, in order to execute your risk, your opportunity, you have to be able to accept the risk and allow the wins to grow and start to get better with that over time. I've said it in when I'm live streaming of that I am working purposefully every day to hold my winners longer, because I recognized that a couple of years ago that is a part of what holds me back, is not allowing my wins to compound in order to achieve all the targets that I have previously seen and even written in my trade plan coming into a day, that I think if we break these levels, it could be this level. And so that has been something that I have purposely had to put attention on to grow that up. So adjusting these psychological responses creates the strongest traders and the best outcomes, because it's not necessarily the technicals, but more so how you execute and manage your trades. I love The Best Loser Wins by Tom Hugard. I have read it 3 times now, I think once a year for the last 3 years. And I actually have a podcast episode on that on my other channel, but it's an excellent book as well. He's really a powerhouse in terms of conversations about holding your winners and letting them run, and not cutting it too soon, and allowing the wins, the losses to not be a big deal. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up, Coach Breezy. It's a killer book. Yeah, that's some fire. Warm it up. No need to be smart, but to be stingy. No need to be smart. Yeah. Oh, yes. You're here, so obviously you have some thoughts on your psychology. I think, I think celebrating the wins is good, because you're reinforcing, the good behavior and your good strategy, but also having some neutrality with trading is a powerful place to get to, because you have studied and you might have an understanding of just the success probabilities of your trading. And so the win is an expected outcome, maybe. So, I mean, if that's where you're at, I love that for you. I think neutrality is valuable in trading. So it's, even if you're a little cold, you're still doing great. Yeah, another day in the office. Honestly, trading should be a business. And when you execute your plan per schedule and it wins because you had a great day set up and you deployed your capital as intended, that is another day in the office. And I think that is a growth pattern that we all are striving to get to. So great job. But of just having that positive expectancy based on the work that we have put in to become strong traders. And that is a part of managing your psychology right there, because you're not getting really high on the wins and really low on the losses, but instead you're focusing on the strategy and recognizing you're going to deploy capital every day, because that is the game that we are in. And so that is the healthy psychological money mindset, because you know that you want to put your money where your mouth is, trade your system, and do it again, rinse and repeat day after day. If you take a loss, next day it's going to be better, right? Well, there's a reason there's algos everywhere, honeys. Okay, this other book, I don't know if any of you have heard of this, not quite as popular and it's a little bit newer, but it's Amanda Frances, Rich as F. And I discovered her maybe a year ago. And I really just, I really like the content of her conversations. There's a little drama around her as a person, but what she says about money is really powerful for me, because your relationship with money is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. And that really spoke to me, because I think it cuts to the core of, if you don't believe you are worthy of the wealth, then there is some self-sabotage that can sneak into our choices. And self-worth issues will manifest as poor trading, or at a minimum, poor trade management. You make poor choices. You can overtrade after a loss to fix it as fast as you can. Or you can be afraid when it comes to locking in your targets, and that can make you get out too soon, or when it's dancing around, closing down a good trade before it was really actually stopped out. Avoiding opportunities because you think that they're just too good and you hesitate. So she, as a big advocate for healing your money mindset, it has to come from healing your self-worth first. And I think that concept warrants saying today, because this was certainly something that I worked through as well. If you think that you are not a big fancy day trader, who wears a suit and works in Manhattan and is going to make the 7 figures, then you're going to be more content with $200 days and $400 losses, and just thinking you're working through it, versus a real positive expectancy on your life as a trader, as a money maker, as a business person in the day trading industry, if we can start to think about, do I believe that I am worth great success or do I not? And if it's more on the side of I'm worried about that I'm not good enough, that I didn't come from this certain pedigree, that I didn't have this certain advanced education, who am I to think that I get to do X, Y, Z? I'm sorry, but F that. And I have had to sell myself to not prioritize that type of thinking because it will hold you back. It will put you into that scarcity mindset of, this is enough. I'm fine here. I'm doing good enough. But why not? Why not like think about really pushing ourselves and believing that we can have all the greatest success because we show up for the worth on the work and everything that we're trying to do. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, those of us that have a strong money mindset and believe in giving back in the world and taking care of our family and growing the wealth that we can grow. I mean, there's potential in that for those type of people like this amazing team here at BluSky to, making the good money and fighting the good fight in terms of letting it be powerful for our family. If you have children, for your children, you kind of shape their minds at least a little bit better than what you got. And that is, pursuing proving generational curses per se, approaching it a little bit differently, believing that if you strive, why not? Like, why is there a ceiling on what you're doing, where we're going, what we're trying to achieve? I kind of really love that approach. And it has helped me believe that I can push to wherever the heck I want to push to. And if I just show up, then there's like a lot of potential. Yes, Jessica. Okay, Best Loser Wins is incredible. Yeah, like I said, I read that one 3 times. Rich as F, I think twice, because I just needed it again last summer. Yeah. I see one good short is killer and then rinse and repeat. It's a good move. Although today I won on longs because I wasn't there all day. So one good trade. Okay, so let's talk about breaking this down even a little bit more. So these are some different patterns that are normal for you to experience if you are experiencing them. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't break them and fix them and that there's not plenty of room to just shift a little bit. But I think recognizing where you might be right now will just help. It's like shining light on something that is not right will enable you to take it head on and try to challenge it, fix it, improve it, and grow. And so I love the perspective of, like I said, blowing topics wide open that really could be a problem and then thinking it through, thinking about it as you're listening to me or re-listen to this, or you hear the books that we just mentioned to help you shift. So the first one here is the ceiling effect, where you unconsciously cap your gains at a level that feels safe based on past experiences, even when the trade has more to give. And so that is something that I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I think that I subconsciously do that more than I would like to think, because you're used to, Ed Milet is one, and many other ones talk about the ceiling effect or the thermostat effect, where we are very used to a certain comfort level, a certain temperature in our lives, a certain ceiling in terms of our finances, recognizing that is ideal. That is good for us. That is a normal top for what my world is. And so if you start to push past that, maybe you do think that $300 is a great daily win. One day you have $3,000 and you're like, this is amazing. But then you self-sabotage. You say, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to start making poor choices. I'm going to leverage up. You start to defer from your system that gave you that one outsized home run day. There is a subconscious element and something to consider where you are pulling yourself back. You are making choices that drop you back to where you're used to because it was very uncomfortable. I mean, $1,000 a day is a killer ceiling to start. And this whole thing is a good point of what you just said, RQ. Thank you for that. Because I think that you can shift your ceiling with time. You don't have to go to a $300 daily ceiling to no ceiling at all. And the sky is the limit. I'm going to buy a rocket ship to go to the moon next week. I don't think that is the jam with this, but I think instead more so recognizing that the ceiling that you're used to can be pushed. We can start breaking that sucker up and, put on a second story to the house to start with, and then work from there. I think that there is a lot of opportunity to shift this in time, and to do it all at once is actually less of a sustainable choice and drive for that. No, I'm not saying blow it. I'm saying go from 300 to 450 and then rock that for a month or so, see how it feels, and then start shifting. I think that, adjusting your cap in a way that is not as startling will be more of a sustainable pattern. But a lot of us do have a general ceiling, oftentimes subconscious, where we think that that is what we are expected, what is normal for us, and what is reasonable. And so if you push past that much, it can be really uncomfortable and make you get a little bit weird with your choices. So we want it sustainable versus weird. That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, I know. It's a yardstick. So Tom Hugard actually has done there's one YouTube that pops up on my feed every couple months. It's really good. Yeah. I highly recommend consuming anything by Tom Hugard. Okay, so the fear of invisibility is also a potential barrier. Bigger wins mean more attention and responsibility, triggering self-sabotage when success feels uncomfortable. So if you are in any sort of a media space, or you have a spouse, or in a small community or what have you that you share your P&L with, sometimes it can be real uncomfortable when you put out there that you are doing well. You can have people question you, or more attention that can be super uncomfortable. Everyone might be looking at you. You think you need to defend, or have some sort of a keep the pace up so that you can keep posting these things, and that can kind of throw you into a negative headspace. That's tricky. So I think that can be a factor for certain people, especially if you share your P&L with a broader base of people that are not necessarily maybe your core safe humans that will always cheer for you and support you on the hard days. Consider if you are in that type of a situation, and if that's serving you or if it is a detriment, and maybe lock down who you share with, because that can be a factor there. That's kind of a good point. But see, I like to think of Mike as goals. When he runs 8 contracts for an insane day, I'm like, okay, so that is a real trader that has grown over time and is killing it. So that helps me push my ceiling. So use the things that you hear and think about as growth opportunities, instead of any sort of like, I'm not good enough. What the heck? I only made, $600 and he made 90K. Instead, be like, I made $600 and I'm going to make 90K in 5 years, maybe on this similar setup, allowing that to grow over time. Yes, slowly trying to raise it. That's what I'm talking about. You're speaking my language. So guilt around gain is a similar energy with this, about money and morality creating shame when you win, leading to give it back unnecessarily. So I would, that's sort of also the money morality conversation of, do you need to have guilt from making great wins? What if you saw the market and you took a 6 short and you held all day today and you had your best day ever, and your trading partner thought it was going to go up, bought and took a crappy loss? Are you going to feel guilty around that? Are you going to feel smaller and quieter and need to keep it to yourself? Or can you just be really proud of your day and recognize what you did right, journal it out, try to aim to have another home run day like that soon, and also support that person because they had a rough day? I think having that centered in your mind, that you can feel not guilty about doing really well and still be a happy, helpful part of a community and show up for your people, that can be really valuable. Coach Matt says, don't compare your journey against someone else's. There are commonalities, but you typically don't understand the journey it took Mike to get to the level. Exactly. Average human working for $20. If you can make 7K in trade, you're good. Yeah, it's a fine line between scaling and greed. And all of this is a fine line. I think as you start to push your boundaries, you have to feel, what was normal before, what's normal now, what is reasonable, what is within your system for your trading, what do you understand, and what can you push your psychology to hold within your system. And don't expect to change it all in 1 year, because as Coach Matt said, Mike's journey was many years and through a lot of experience as well. And we each have our own track. And so to recognize that those that are farther and advanced than us, like Coach Matt, I bug him literally every day about how and why he does certain different strategies on different instruments, because it's teaching me something that I haven't devoted a lot of time to in my trading career yet. And so recognizing that that's not an avenue that I excel at yet. He did. I want to learn from other people. I don't want to compare that he had this sick covered call that made XYZ. Instead, I want to be like, that's so cool. I want to research that, see where you got in and how you managed it, so that at some point I can do great with it as well. Yeah, I think as your buffer grows, that is when you scale. These are such good points, you guys. Yeah, compare me against me yesterday and last year. I think that should always be the metric of tuning out all the noise and striving to be 1% better yourself. which is why this conversation today is so personal. I'm covering lots of different angles on it because I think each one of us is going to have a little different experience coming into our money mindset with our families and what you have done to this point. And so I think that making it your own and then recognizing what your biggest hurdles are, what you're doing to target them for improvement, and then being appreciative when you do see that improvement and working for more of that. That makes it personal to you and realistic for where you want to go, instead of thinking, Waji is working on this and I'm working on this and she did better, so I suck. No, like I want her to do better in this world and I'm working on this other priority right now because we're in slightly different spaces and I want us both to succeed. But if one of us is having a day, you support that person and you still push for your success because they can be separate. You're not on the same track as every human, even if they're a very close person to you. And that will help you stay level as you grow forward in your whole journey, which can, it's decades long, right? Heaven given. Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. Okay. Last one on the screen is identity protection. So if your identity is the struggling trader, success threatens who you think you are, causing an unconscious resistance. So this one made me think, because it really is. I think that I have had to work through this because I am a struggling trader at times too. I air quotes, you can't see it in this video, but the messy middle is how I identified as a trader for a very long time. And I'm trying to push past that because that was definitely a key identity for me as a trader after my first year. But before, honestly, like nowish, I'm still breaking through that, because for me, in my mind, the messy middle of trading is when you're still engaging in behaviors that you wish you wouldn't do. The revenge trading or the over trading or the over leveraging or fighting the market after a small reasonable loss in the beginning, letting the poor psychological choices creep in when you are in trouble and on your trading executions. For me, that is a place where you can get stuck as a trader. But I think a goal would be, and this last one for identity protection, is to not identify that. Thanks, Matt. Don't identify as a trader who doesn't have it together, who still makes mistakes. Because if you're telling yourself that out loud or just subconsciously, that's going to feel like home. And so if you constantly say, I just haven't arrived yet, I'm not consistent enough, I don't know how to do this, you might find that you stay in that position longer, identifying in that way. So if you find that you have done that, then it is ideal to start to shift that. Every time you hear yourself say, I'm a messy middle trader, I'm a struggling trader, I blow my accounts as soon as I get them. Instead, just be like, I am taking lessons, but I am getting better. Like month over month, I am learning how to make better trades. I am learning what I did wrong and what I don't want to do again and how I can shift that moving forward. So I would urge you to try and start to adjust that. If your identity tends to be not super supportive of where you want to go as a trader. So I think I might have dipped into some of these, but let's real quick round out strategies specifically for these shifts that we're talking about today. All right. So rewriting your money story. And I've talked about journaling and other things as well. Everyone's a little bit different with their relationship with journaling, how much they do it, what they like to journal about. But this is something that you can work through if this conversation is really resonating with you and you think you have a good amount of work to do on your money mindset, because you can journal it out of what your earliest money memories are, what you sort of think that you inherited as a child from your parents, from those adults that were around you. And by saying what you thought as a young adult and what you believed, how you approached life, if you thought money was a tool or if it was the goal, and then looking at that from a bird's eye view and think about how you could rewrite that for a more powerful approach, reshaping money as a tool and has a requirement in order to compound your gains. I am capable of creating wealth. I deserve financial success. I believe in my abilities to succeed. I am putting in the work, so the results are guaranteed because I just keep showing up. That's right, RQ. I fully believe in you. And so I would encourage you guys to sort of unbury what happened in your earlier life that maybe was limiting, and then reframe that and rewrite it. And then even you can record the rewrite on the app on the phone, the audio app. I don't know if you guys do this, but on iPhones especially, like there's the voice memo app where you can record what you want to believe. That's an opportunity here when you rewrite your money story, record it and listen to it in the shower or on a walk or in the car or whatever. That can help adjust your mindset. I mean, even if it feels a little nerdy, I'm telling you, I've done it and I like it because it helps put the right words in my mind. And that is powerful, is you basically forcing yourself to hear it. You tell your kids something a million times, eventually you'll hear them telling their sibling that, because that's just the thing that's said in your home. Pick up your toys or you don't get dessert. Pretty soon my oldest child is going to tell my little child that because he wants to get the ice cream out. So by hearing things repetitively, that becomes the expectation and the norm, is what I'm saying with rewriting that. Number 2 is separate your identity from your outcomes. So this one I love because it helps you stay more steady, more neutral by having a losing trade instead of I am a loser. Your worth isn't tied to your P&L. It's just data. It's just your system at play. It's the fact that like 0 people have 100% expectancy as traders. So why should you? Right? So, being able to say, today was a red day. I'm going to get better. I'm going to walk away. I allowed it to stop before it blew my account or what have you. That was a win, which, to be fair, everyone listening, that is a win. If you take a small loss and you walk away and your account stays stable and you can wait for a better opportunity on another day, that is a win. So reshaping this of like, I had a losing trade versus I'm a loser, I am red again, like what the heck? Those are different ways to think about it. And one protects your identity growth. And one is a little bit stressful. Gosh, coffee is expensive. Number 3, expand your money comfort zone. So this I love. And we talked about this in a previous Tuesday Psychology, and that was all about leveraging up and how to approach this whole conversation of gently pushing your leverage as you grow with skill and experience. And I think that is valuable because that's how you push that ceiling we were talking about. Your money ceiling, the expectations that you think that you're worthy of, what you think that you can do in a day, a month, a year. That will improve with little changes. And so gradually increasing your position size and hold time. So setting profits 20% higher than what feels comfortable. Say you are in the short today and you feel very sure that it will get to at least a new low, but you also think that there's 3 or 4 more levels below that we could potentially test. What can you do? Is this an opportunity potentially to push your comfort zone? Maybe you get in for micros and you get in for 8 micros. You scale 3 out at a solid point that you think will for sure hit. And then you scale 3 at the next level. Well, what about your last 2? Could you push yourself? Could you put it to a spot where I really think we are falling hard? What if it actually does get to this hourly point down below? That would be sick. It happens. Move those last 2 micro contracts to where it really could get to. Now, I'm not saying take undue risk. In that situation, you'd want to be managing your stop loss because that would suck to have it come all the way back up on you and lose all that gains. But I think adjusting your profit target in order to get just a little bit more than what feels comfortable, what you would have done last year, last month, that helps you push your boundaries. And it trains your nervous system that bigger numbers are safe and that you are qualified to take a little bit more and to hold a little bit larger position a little bit longer and to believe that you have drawn these levels out on the hourly chart and they are farther away. What if this is a day that really trends for the next 2 hours and you got a really good entry and you got a really good entry with multiple contracts? What if you hold one? And so if you haven't done that yet or you haven't tried it, don't do a big shift necessarily because that can really throw you off. But instead, like this 20%, a little bit farther than what feels comfortable is like a really good system. Ooh, T is a good letter. I love that. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and trends. Oh, we should do something with that. I know. Girl, I know. But I think if we think about this, that's why you guys got to come to Tuesday Labs and tell your friends because it's cool here. But try to just push it. Every time you get out, because I have done this, every time you get out and then the trade runs for another 50 points on ES and you're grumbling a little bit in your coffee about how you had the sick entry and look how much it fell, that can be a point. You can use it as a lesson to be like, what if I had a tiny bit bigger size and I held one? Maybe I want to try that another time. So use that little like gut punch tiny feeling as a day to potentially think maybe I will adjust moving forward. Yeah. Okay. So practice gratitude and abundance. Daily gratitude for current resources shifts you from scarcity to abundance. So what you appreciate appreciates, which I love that. I know. Focus expands as you believe you are worthy for more. You believe that with trading specifically, I love the whole idea of hindsight bias in terms of your experience. How much more do we know today versus last year this time versus 2 years ago this time? it's insane, right? It's insane how much you learn as a trader, being in communities like this one at BluSky, going to the live streams, coming to these Tuesday, Thursday labs, learning from other traders expands what you know. And so I would challenge you guys to expand your own personal belief in your abundance with that, and knowing that the effort that you have put in and the belt that you have learned should call to you more to be abundant and grateful for, because you're showing up and it is expanding. What you have been focusing on is growing within you. You are learning more. Every time you look at a chart, you listen to a mentor, you consider the options and the momentum of it, that will expand. It will expand your experience and your skill. Plus, when you appreciate something, there is a karmic energy to it appreciating you right back. And so appreciating how far you've come, how far you want to go, the wonderful people you've met along the way and that are in your life now, having that positive energy about what's good about what you're doing encourages you to see that more readily and have it be more of an obvious in your world. And that mindset shift is really powerful as well. I mean, hey, hit the gym too, RQ, once you're done with all the work. Yeah, Fatima, it happened to me today from the top, and then you got it early. I have done that, I don't even know, more times than I care to admit out loud, of getting a sick entry with a small stop loss at the end of a big trend and not diamond handing it. Not even like, I don't know what's between paper and diamond. But I mean, striving for whatever's between paper and diamond is an excellent goal. And that is huge variability, right? To expect to take an entire move from the tip to the other tip is unrealistic in general. And that should not be what you strive for. However, there's an idea to, pushing yourself a little bit to hold and seeing if it is going to be a true trending day. What can you do with that? Yeah, talk about it tomorrow. Yeah. Scale in and out with micros, definitely fearful trails, profit ticket. Yeah. Okay, Jessica, you came to the right lab, because girl, that is extremely common and very normal when you are developing your strategy and you're learning to expect the money and to deal with it in real time. When the money is printing, it goes from red to green to red to green, and finally it's in green, and it adds some more green and adds a little more green, lock it in, right? But you might be locking it in before it gets to target that, based on your technicals, was reasonable. Then it does get to it. And so I think just the fact that you're saying it out loud, that this is a pattern that you have seen in yourself, you know that this is an area that you can directly target. And then think about it. Let's talk about it here. What can you do to shift that a little bit? Maybe scale out just a little bit farther, push it that 20%, let the trade run a little bit more, try not to squeeze it if that's the situation. Those are very helpful. Yeah, it absolutely takes time. Amaral, exactly. It takes time because you have to get frustrated enough and recognize enough what you're doing that you wish you would pivot, and then start to pivot and then feel better on the days where you did what you would more prefer to have done. And that is positive reinforcement for the ways that you're starting to change. And so it really does take months to years to change these habits to the stronger patterns that we're all heading towards. But the key to that is the perseverance, the knowing how you want to adjust and that you are taking good trades. So how can you start to slowly pushing them? And the time built up when you're slowly pushing your skill and your profits, that really does add up. So yeah, that was a great image there too, Ace. Good job. Yeah, best loser wins will help. Yeah, good job. I love all these tips. We have such a great community here. One more to think about is create evidence of new beliefs. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. And this is a great idea of keeping a wins journal, which documents every success, no matter how small. And that provides your brain with proof that new money story is true, that you can adjust, that you can be abundant and the money is coming to you and that you're making these successes. And that kind of calls that hindsight bias to reality, because you can say, I used to be unsure and not even know how to make a trade, but dang, this week I locked in a little bit more profits. I took, 20 points versus 15 on a killer move. Or I had a red first trade and I recognized that I was starting to tilt. I was getting really frustrated. I really thought I'd win. I'm kind of pissed off that it didn't work out. I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to go visit with my friend. I'm going to go get a coffee. I'm going to do a workout and then see if there's something later in the day. That is a massive win, you guys. That's a massive win in order to not go down that tilt spiral. And so even I would say create evidence of new beliefs. That is trade management, not necessarily P&L. So if you can take it off of just the dollar sign, the dollars come quicker. If you can focus on being the best trader and having all of the evidence around being your ideal trader be a part of your identity shift, that will be more holistic and more powerful as well, because you are having faith in your ability to manage your trades no matter what their outcome is. So you'll be a stronger trader from doing that work, if that makes sense. So these are 5 specific strategies that you can do to try and push and shift and pull yourself out of any sort of negative money mindset and aim for the more abundance and higher skill, better trade management, kind of forward focused energy of what we're doing in this trading. Okay, so I don't know how everyone feels about affirmations, but I think that there is some real benefit to them because I think we're reshaping our money mindset. So I would encourage you guys to consider screenshotting this page and either reading these each morning or recording them on your voice memos on your phone and playing them in your ear in the morning. You know, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're getting ready, when you're walking through the house, when you're fixing your coffee. If you haven't addressed your subconscious thoughts yet, you should do it. You just should. You should figure out what's going on in your mind that might be is making you think of your limiting beliefs or the fear of, gosh, I hope I don't mismanage that again. Yesterday sucked and I couldn't even see it. What if I suck again today? Like that is like detrimental. However, I'm going to read these to you guys slowly and just you close your eyes if you're in a place you can, but think about what it would feel like to be making your coffee in the morning, about to head to your office, about to think about what's going on the charts. And this is what you hear. I am worthy of wealth and success. Money flows to me easily through my skills and my strategy. I make decisions from abundance, not fear. Larger wins are safe for me. My past does not determine my financial future. I celebrate my wins without guilt. So make them your own, rewrite them with whatever speaks to you or, you know, however you think that this could work for you. But if you wake up and are starting to think about trading, you haven't fully gotten into drawing your levels and writing out your trade plan, but you're putting your mind on these sort of thoughts, I would argue all day with anyone that you will have a little bit better psychology going into that trading session because you're going to go into it feeling worthy and strong and that you have put in the work. And so it's normal to expect success and positive outcomes for whatever choices happens, to expect abundance and not fear, to know that you're going to execute and use your money as a tool in order to make money if you can from a winning trade, and that would be a normal outcome because you've been working your butt off to be a trader for a long time. So I think that by using these affirmations, making them your own, putting them in your brain every morning before you start your trade, just the whole idea of this is to bring your psychology down to a positive, healthy money mindset where you believe in yourself, what you have done so far, in your abundance, and how you can just be more steady approaching your day, your session, your life, your trading journey. I think this is how we want to be as traders because you get to get out of that negative mindset, that fear-based energy, and believe that it's amazing to be a trader. Like the fact that we have this ability to be a trader is ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. I grew up in like blue collar, like we shopped at Goodwill when I was a kid. It's ridiculous that I have learned so much money and I can go into my office and get on my fancy computer with high-speed internet and make good money a lot of the time. That's incredible. And to believe that that is where I am going and that this is abundant and that I have learned so much and I'm going to keep getting better. I want to keep my psychology coming up with that of like, this opportunity is powerful and this world that I'm in is beautiful. And I want to keep expanding, learning, growing, and having that sort of positive, enjoyable energy will help you take a stop if you need to, if your trade is stopped out, because you're in that more of abundance mindset of one stop out does not mean this week is not going to be a positive week. It means that trade didn't work. What is the market trying to tell me when it went against my trade plan? Because a stop out is that trade didn't work out because that level didn't hold. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're not a good trader. It means the market was doing something else at that moment. You're good. And so I would definitely do what you can do to have this positive mindset before you start clicking buy or sell, or even before you do your trade plan. I think it's really good. Yeah, winner mentality. That's right. And believing in what you have done to get to this point. All right, showing off now. That's beautiful. Trade buddies help so much because you can be real with them. So I don't know if you guys have this experience, but I cannot be real about trading with anyone who doesn't understand trading because it's so multifactorial. Like trading is such a complicated work, right? It's such a complicated business that you don't understand unless you understand it, unless you've tried it and you have felt the pain, the fear, the anxiety, the wins, the highs. Like people who haven't done it don't get it. And if you can get a couple people in your tight inner circle that get it and speak your language and have your back, it's so powerful with reshaping your whole approach because there's going to be so much judgment from outside people who don't understand this world and who might think that you're greedy or gambler or whatever the heck sort of negative shade they can throw. I'm sorry. No, thank you. Tune that out. Don't allow it in because that will just kind of help you stay where you don't want to be. So I think changing your money mindset isn't instant. I think I forgot T in there, but it's a practice. Every time you catch a limiting belief and replace it with an empowering one, that is rewiring your brain for greater success. That is neuroplasticity. As a side note, Dr. Joe Dispenza is my hero on neuroplasticity, but we actually can rewire our brains for greater success and to recognize that we can shift a limiting belief to an abundance, to an empowering one, to know that we are heading somewhere amazing and that the market doesn't care about your past, but your breakthrough is waiting on the other side of you thinking about it differently. Funny guy, Morrow. Oh, you're among friends here, Marl. You hang out with us. So, you guys, I would encourage you to, a couple slides back, choose a strategy and commit to practicing it for the next 30 days. And then think about your progress. Track it in a way, if you could, how your behavior might shift, how it's impacting you, how you feel going into your trading day. Oh, gosh, yeah, Riz, dude, I think everyone has been within a, fingertip of passing account and getting into trouble. I have been there. So I will tell you right now that I have been there, but that's a lesson, right? That's a hard lesson that probably stung, but it probably made you think about doing things differently moving forward. I think that Coach Matt, we definitely need a hookup system within BluSky for trading partners. It's very helpful. I don't know that we can advertise that you're looking for a sugar mama tomorrow though. I think that's on you. But this is slide 8. These are different strategies. So think about what you might want to shift, what you haven't tried before, what speaks to who you are, what you think might be a powerful adjustment for you, and then maybe just really give it a try for the month of February. Today is February 3rd. We've got so much potential left this year, but consider doing something where you specifically target how you think about money and your abundance and your ability to succeed and where you want to go in life, and believing in yourself and believing it's possible, that money is a tool. We are blessed to be able to implement and use as traders in a great community. We have pretty solid mentors here that are supporting you. Like everyone in this thread is just lovely humans. So do something and believe in yourself and help shift it. I think that all of us have a little bit of shifting we could do, whether you're deep into that process or this is a newer conversation. I would target it if you could. Put it as part of your growth opportunities for this year and how you might adjust it and work through it. I think lesson days, my friend LT, been there. Allow the days that sting really bad and bring you to whatever sort of sadness you might feel. Try to settle those emotions and consider logic with that. Consider what lesson you could take from that and how it could be turned from a really maybe crappy day into a potential impact for your future. And how if this doesn't happen ever again, because I really felt it and I'm going to do XYZ, I'm going to put these parameters in place. I'm going to communicate with my partner. I'm going to have rules, hard stops on my account for daily max loss. Let it mean something. Let the hard days be a lesson. And then that is a subtle shift of over time, the lessons will take a greater hold and you'll do less and less of it. We need great trading communities, but BluSky is a great one. Like the Discord chat is pretty, robust. You can meet people in there and you can DM people that you find in here on these chats. You can certainly reach out to any of us coaches if you're in a moment ever. I am speaking for Coach Matt, Coach Riz, all of us here, that if you find yourself in a situation that you are not comfortable with or there's something going on, you have questions, please do DM us. We are here for you guys as mentors in the BluSky community. We absolutely are ready to show up for what you guys need, where you're at in your journey, how we can help, how we can grow as a community. So yeah, Coach Matt, same. You guys, thank you so much for being here with me at BluSky on this lovely Tuesday psychology hour. I'm so glad you're here. I hope this was valuable. It was good for me to put together and think about my own journey too. So I enjoyed it. And I'm going to nerd out for a second and tell you guys that at the start of this year, I wrote down all my goals and then I put them in the chat GPT and she's flipped them around and made them sound even prettier. And then I recorded them on my phone and I try and listen to it every night. And it's such a lovely way to go to bed. Can I just say that it's helping me just remind of who I want to be, how I want to show up, all the different aspects of my life that I'm growing at once. And so case in point, I am been a trader. I'm coming up on 5 years and I still do these tactics. Like I'm not just trying to be a psychology coach who nerds out on the brain, but more so saying stuff that I do that I think is helping me. So anyways, that's what I got for today. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, I meant to move up to this. if you need to screenshot this last slide before you go, these are the 5 strategies if you would like it. Thanks for your involvement, you guys. This was a great chat thread today too, where everyone kind of piped in with their experience and what you're learning, what you're growing on. Hi, Coach Matt. Oh, prospect theory and targeting the lab on Thursday. You guys do not want to miss Matt's Thursday labs right at market close as well. They are amazing and I gain every time. And then we've got Breezy and BluSky coaches in the evening time too, Monday through Thursday. So a lot of content, a lot of opportunity. We're so thankful to have you here in our BluSky community. I am as well. And have a great rest of your day, guys.